Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another Run Disney episode of Monorail Memoirs. Today we'll be talking about doing some Run Disney training around the holidays. Lauren and I signed up for the springtime surprise in April of 2026. That has doing the 5K, 10K, and 10 miles, so it should be a nice little jaunt out. We've got some other videos in this series if you want to keep up with all things to do with the springtime surprise. But we really want to get into how does Christmas and the holidays change our approach to training. Before we get into that, Lauren, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. It's getting very cold here in England, so that feeds into what we're going to be talking about today.
It certainly does. It certainly does. Seasonal challenges are a thing, and let's really dig into what is different around Christmas and the holiday time. Things get busy. Work schedules are disrupted. Life schedules are disrupted. Family commitments change. Weather is changing. There's all these things to get into. So, Lauren, where are you at in your training cycle, and what do you have coming up race-wise?
Yeah, so I'm currently 29 and I made a pledge to myself for every month in my 29th year to do at least one race. So I turned 29 in October. So I've done the October and the November runs. I've got a run coming up next weekend for my December run. So yeah, I'm doing a race every month, whether or not that be 10K, 10 mile, half marathon. I've not counted any 5Ks because I feel like that doesn't count for me anyway.
Controversial opinion.
For other people, yes, but for me, no.
We're in a 5K top. What do you mean it's not a race? I paid for it and everything.
Yeah, it is a race, but just to make it a bit of a challenge, because I run plenty of 5Ks throughout the week, as we'll get on to, I didn't really see that as a challenge. So, yeah. As part of that, I'm obviously doing these runs in April. So at the minute, because that's sort of 4 months away, it still feels quite far away because I've still got 4 races to do until then.
Yep.
So for me, my training schedule is kind of a social run twice during the week and a long run at the weekend. That's generally what my training schedule looks like.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And for people who are interested, I sort of pretend to like running on the water with my name. I haven't done a competitive race since July. And I'm not doing another competitive one until January. So I have quite some time. Although I'm using my Garmin, which I don't have on me right now, but that's my sort of training coach. So Lauren's got hers. That's my training coach and tells me everything that I need to achieve. But let's get into why it's different around Christmas and the holidays time. So I think one thing that's important to consider is weather to start with.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, if you're in at least the Northern Hemisphere listening to this, the weather is going to get colder if it hasn't already. There's a great phrase that I learned many, many years ago when it comes to deciding what to wear when running, which is dress for the second mile. You have to be dressed preparing to warm up, because if you start nice and cozy, you are going to be so overheating by the time you get 2 miles in. So I think it's really important to consider that the basics of layering by having, whether that be a base layer, whether that be, I still run in shorts and t-shirt despite the fact that it's around freezing temperatures, but that's just what I like. There's other gear that you can wear, gloves, hats, etc. But there's also reflective gear as well. Because what do you use to let people know that you're there?
Yeah, so I used to be really bad at this. I used to just kind of go out and hope for the best. But now I'm learning. I'm more safety conscious. So I have kind of like a bit of it looks like a harness. Like those children's 5-point seatbelt things that they have on car seats. It's basically that, but just entirely reflective. So it has 2 grey strips down the middle, and then kind of the yellow high vis on the side, and it also lights up so you can press a button, and you can have lots of different colours. You can have white, pink, blue, red, whatever colour you want, you can be. But yeah, that gives me a lot of visibility when I'm out there, because then it also means that I don't have to worry about what I'm actually wearing. I can wear black, because a lot of my running clothes are black or darker colours. I don't have to worry about what I've actually got on, because that just makes me very visible.
Yeah, that's fair. I confess I'm not the best at it. I do have, of course, some reflective clothing, but on my watch I've got a torch on it, and so I know, right? So as I run, it does illuminate the path. So it's not too hard to stay visible. But I will say, especially if it gets icy and things, if
Mm.
you, as much as I dislike running on a treadmill, running on a treadmill is better than not running. And if you have access to it, sometimes it is the safer and more sensible thing to do to take the treadmill option. Another way of doing it that I've seen before is do whatever mileage you were going to do, but walk it instead of run. It takes
Mm.
much longer, but the idea is, especially if you're doing something like dopey, is just getting used to time on your feet rather than it necessarily being about the cardiovascular side. Because a lot of dopey and the longer runs in general are about getting used to the fact that your legs are going to be tired, getting used to that element of fatigue and having to just keep churning the legs over, building up sort of calluses on the feet and especially the heel. I find that is important. And some of those things can still be achieved in a walk, and it's safer than risking, if you're a month out from doing the marathon weekend, or even less than in some cases, you last thing you want to do is put the last 6 months of training at risk.
Yeah, definitely. And I've also heard as well, if you've got a static bike at home, that can really help your cardio fitness. So kind of you could team up the walking, so time on your feet, and also the cycling, which would be the cardio aspect, if you're worried about that sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. And we all know that the Christmas time is full of food and drink, and that can sort of derail you. A couple of things that I like to consider is you have to still enjoy yourself. Unless you're going there as a professional athlete, you should enjoy Christmas as you would before. But there are some smart ways of going about it. I would say hydrate more. Make
Mm.
sure that you are consuming, and I don't mean beer, but make sure you are consuming appropriate amounts of fluids before and after running. Try and get your runs in the morning, usually when there's less activity. Christmas Day might be difficult with Santa, I get it, but you can have a day off. And just be aware that if you are drinking, how it affects your training for the next day, because you will feel dehydrated, you'll feel sluggish, and depending on how much you've had, you may be seeing dinner again.
And your quality of sleep as well. So something that I found helpful with Garmin, we're not sponsored, but if by any chance anyone from Garmin wants to sponsor us,
Correct on.
come on. Yeah, so with my Garmin, I'm very much wedded to my morning report. Anyone with a Garmin will know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
So I have found the day, I mean, I'm not a big drinker. It's only once in a blue moon that I go out and have a drink. I don't drink in the house generally. Shut up. But when I do go out, I do like to enjoy myself. So
Upside down in a bin somewhere.
I notice the day after I've had a drink, my sleep is so much worse. And it often says, look after yourself today, or please rest today, or something like that. And I'm thinking, well, I've got 16 miles to do, so there ain't going to be any rest happening here. So yeah, it's, as you say, just be really mindful. If you've had a fair few drinks the night before, sleep might be impaired, you'll be a bit more dehydrated. Just really factor that into your training. So whether or not you swap your long day runs, if, for example, you were due to have a long run on Boxing Day, and you know that you're going to be drinking on Christmas Day, maybe do a shorter run on Boxing Day, because you need to anticipate that feeling.
Yes, absolutely. Do you remember? Was it last year we did? Well, I did a marathon on my birthday. You joined me for half of it. Yeah, that was. My birthday a couple of days before Christmas, which was and it was unsupported, very hilly route. That was pretty crazy.
And it was probably one of the worst and weirdest weathers that I've ever run in, ever.
Yeah.
So it was sunny at one point. We were absolutely boiling because we dressed for the freezing cold because it's late December. And then it started raining, and then we decided to go up this massive hill. And I don't know why we did that. And it was hailing and snowing.
Yeah, I remember that.
I just couldn't believe it. We were getting battered from all angles. My legs were red raw.
That was so
crazy.
Funny. But as is evident, a lot of people will travel during the Christmas period. So when you are traveling, if you want to worry about packing the essentials when it comes to, get your running shoes in there early, get the appropriate amount of clothing. If you're going somewhere like family where you can put a wash on, goodness sake, utilize that objective. And if you're staying in hotels or something, consider the backup plans of what a treadmill could give you, or even if there's any local parks in the area you can use for running. Because depending on where you go, if you're going to a city, your running routes and your approach to running is going to be very different as well. So just you try and use the traveling day themselves to rest, but consider the impacts that it's going to have. Do not, and I this is a plea. If you have stuck to the program all the way up to this point, you are allowed to have a couple of days off. I know it's difficult, I know it's demoralizing, but you are allowed to do them.
Yeah, I really struggle with that. So as you alluded to, I'm doing one of the Garmin plans. So I just put into my Garmin when my races are, and it plans my training around that. You know, kind of what time I want to finish in and all that sort of stuff. And if I have a run on a day, I have to do that run. Otherwise, in my head, I ain't going to be able to do this race. So I do not practice what I preach. I wish that I could just be like, I'll skip that run for today. It's okay. But it really is okay. You can skip that run. It's absolutely fine.
You absolutely can do, and like, don't worry about it. I do think as well there's a difference between taking a couple of days off over Christmas versus taking 2 weeks off over Christmas and not doing anything. Like, there is a difference, but some people really do rely on that momentum that you get from earlier in training, because if you do take 2 weeks off and then you go back to it, you'll find that you have dipped slightly, and then it's demoralizing, and then it's difficult to keep the motivation high. But there are things you can do to keep motivation, and whether or not be, if you're somebody who listens to music and you really like Christmas, hey, put some Christmas music on, why not? You can continue to use whatever tracking devices you've got as well, and whether or not you're accountable as part of a group of runners, or there's loads of RunDisney communities out there that can keep people on track. So I would say don't panic if this is the first Christmas you're coming up to and you're not used to having to train over this period. Use this as a time to rest, focus on the things that really do matter in life. And RunDisney is very much a enjoyable approach. It is not the hyper competitive, it's not the London Marathon, it's not the Chicago Marathon, etc. So make sure to enjoy it. Stretch, look after yourselves, make sure you hydrate. Feel free to enjoy yourself, but then remember the training does commence. Lauren, do you have any final pointers before we close?
No, just reiterating that for me, you pay a heck of a lot to do RunDisney. Enjoy the experience. Don't try and get a 5K PB, because if you're going to finish that in 25 minutes, when you could have really taken in the sights and it took 30 minutes, I guarantee you'll want to have taken 30 minutes.
Yeah, but Lauren doesn't think 5K is a run anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. There's trackers across the bottom. Feel free to get hold of us. Look, we just enjoy running, which is not a phrase I ever thought I would say, but there we go. Nevertheless, thank you for joining us on this non-standard episode of Monorail Memoirs. This series around RunDisney Springtime Surprise will continue, along with our normal weekly episodes released every Sunday. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And as always, please stand clear of the doors. Bye, everybody.
Bye.